Tonight we have Timmy Brown Powers with us. Timmy is a current representative in what is your district number?
District 61.
District 61, which covers Waterloo area for the most part. Yeah,
Yep.
perfect. So tell us kind of about the area that you live in and why you want to keep going.
Okay. So District 61 is about 32,000 constituents, and Waterloo, and it all is all of Waterloo. I have the center of Waterloo and south down to Orange, and then I have a section of northeast Waterloo that goes over to like down Independence Avenue towards Elkhorn, Evansdale, but I don't have them. That's kind of where my stop point is. This is my sixth term, the end of my sixth term. So going into my 12th year. Um, I have been in the minority the entire time that I've been at the state house, which is, that's you build really thick skin when you're in the minority all the time. But have figured out how to channel those energies. My district, I have very diverse, so I probably have some of the lowest income folks in my district, and I probably have some of the highest income people in my district. So the people that I represent it's very diverse. It's very diverse from income, from population, and across the board now. When they redistrict me, it really is probably a kind of a big group of Republican, Democrat, Independent voters or not decided voters in my district now, and so it's like the favorite thing that I get to do is constituent care and constituent work. That is my favorite. And I have helped folks with job things, Medicaid issues, mental health issues, public health issues, public safety issues. So, kind of across the board. So, today, an average day is spending time in the community, visiting those folks, and so it's very rewarding. It's probably more rewarding to be at home with constituents sometimes than it is to be down at the Capitol, depending on the day and depending on the topic.
Do you have a primary opponent?
No, not right now, but now,
Okay.
so people will be turning in their papers to run, and they do that. We'll kind of get an idea of the field like March, April. We'll kind of know, who's going to jump in, who's not going to jump in. They can jump in actually to the not primary me, but a Republican candidate can jump in until really the very almost end, if the party meets and they want to throw a candidate at me. I have had in the past Republican candidates and Libertarians run against me. Um, I enjoy all of those. Mostly they have been there have been young folks in the community. And so, it's been fun to visit with different folks and mentor folks. And the last election, I did not have anybody run against me.
Okay. Um, what do you think makes you different from other Democratic candidates or representatives?
So I think, I got into this in a weird way. I was not into politics at all when I got into this role. I am a healthcare provider, and that was always been my passion, and I still enjoy that very much, and taking care of my patients. And so I kind of got into it oddly. I spent some time down at the Capitol educating them about the program that I run for Mercy One here in Waterloo, and how important its continuum of care is for patients, and how we could reduce recidivism into the ER and hospital stays if we just paid closer attention to folks' healthcare needs. And it was during that time that I used to tell my husband, like, wow, these politicians, they don't even look at you in the face when you're talking to them. They're looking around, like trying to see what everybody else is doing.
Looking
And
for the
I thought,
lobbyist that'll give them the paycheck?
yeah, I'm like, hello. Um, and it was after that I got a call and they asked me to run. And I said, "Ooh, I don't know. First of all, I don't know anything about running. I don't know that I want to do that. We have two sons." And I thought, well, it puts everybody in your family on the radar. I had no idea at the time how time consuming it is. But I did, I wasn't sure. Um, it was my dad then. He said, you know what, you take care of patients and in your community now, it is just taking care of more people to me, and you can do it. And so that's kind of how I look at it. That was the decision to go ahead and do it. I felt like he's right. I take care of a lot of people. I listen, and I can do this. And that still today, when I spoke down at the forum, your focus has to be my vote. I have my own personal beliefs, right? And the things that are in my soul, the things that I was raised with or life experiences with. But I also have to take care of 32,000 people. And so I always have to keep, is this good for the majority of the people in my district? Will this help anybody? Will this hurt anybody? Will this, can this be something across Iowa that will help Iowans grow? And so those are always the things that I think about when I vote, or when I speak on the floor. I am not someone that speaks all the time on the floor, but when I speak, um, it's because they've kind of pushed enough buttons, that it's time to step up, and protect folks. So I look at it a little differently. I think I still don't consider myself a politician, although I've been now, this will be my 12th year. So I guess I am, but I'm not. I don't know. I think you just have to, when you're down there, vote. Vote for what is good for your constituents. And if it's not good, then, you know, and I don't, I'm really fortunate, and we talked about this morning too. I'm very fortunate that in our caucus, we say, vote your district, vote your conscience. In other caucuses, they're told you will vote this way.
Right.
And they have to toe the line, right?
Right.
And I would not be good under that environment. So
No.
no, I have lived a great life and had many experiences. So at this juncture, no one's probably going to tell me what to do. And
Right.
so there's that too. Like I am quite aware of how I'm going to vote. And Milo wants to appear.
That's all right. We're always open for extra guests. Um, I think that it's
That's
it's interesting to talk about like kind of the two different caucuses, right? Like the two different areas, in that we've heard that a lot, that, typically Democrats are allowed to vote in the way that they feel best, whereas the Republican Party tends to be told, this is what you're voting for, so vote for it or else. Um,
It's always vote for it or we'll send a primary after you.
that
yeah,
is it. That is it. And we've seen them do it. And I mean, and they have done it. So, I have some friends in the other caucus that I feel bad for them because, you know, they've gone against their party vote, they've taken a walk, um, or they've followed the norm. And I've been really disappointed in that sometimes. But I always have to remember that their caucus is a different world, and so I don't agree with it, but it's what they think they have to do.
right. Yeah, I think the mindset's just a little
Yeah,
different.
we weren't put here. We weren't put in these seats by our caucus. We're put in these seats by the people that we live with, our community. And I think that definitely gets forgotten sometimes. Uh, That gets forgotten when we're looking at legislation. I
100%.
mean, the Capitol can fill up and say this is bad legislation, and it goes forward anyway. So sometimes legislation isn't even driven by the people, it's driven by corporate or money or meanness and pushed that way. It's not driven by what people of Iowa want or need, no matter what their party is. They have not asked for this legislation. They don't agree with it, but yet somehow it gets brought to the floor and pushed forward. So that's always problematic too.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. And I think that's when the corporate PAC money and the talk about the corporate PAC money comes into play a lot. People, constituent wise, regular people that we talk to regularly are like, stop taking this damn money because it's not helping anyone. All it's helping is the Walmart, the FedEx, the, whatever. So why are we still taking the money? And I think that's a really good question. And I think the more that we've been in this, the more we learn that part of it is because campaigning is so freaking expensive, right?
Mhm.
Like it takes a lot of money to run a campaign. And I assume, it takes the Republican Party just as much money to run a campaign as it does the Democrats and vice versa. The difference is that the Democrats typically, most often, don't take money from these big corporate horrible conglomerates, so they don't have that kind of money to spend on campaigns, whereas
Right.
Republicans have war
Typically,
chests.
they don't even offer us that money. They
Right. They've learned. They're like,
don't even offer us that money. Yeah, I mean,
no.
if you look, they raise more money than we do.
Yeah.
And so we have to be, more particular. However, I personally think that we should have, you can raise X amount of dollars to use on your campaign. I've said this for years, but no one wants to do it. But X amount of dollars you can spend on a campaign, and that's it. You have to get your point across with these amount of dollars. Any excess dollars that you raise has to go in your community. So I don't care. It has to go to a nonprofit, the food bank, but it has to go into the community. You don't have a war chest of all this money and you have just X amount of dollars to say, who are you? What are you going to do? Why are you going to do it? Why are you passionate about it? And that maybe would quit with some of the negativity. I don't know, but I've always just said, it should be a little embarrassing about how much money is spent on campaigns when you have neighbors 2 blocks over who can't pay their bills and got their electricity turned off. But yet we're spending thousands of dollars at the state level, millions of dollars at the federal level on campaigns with most of the time people don't want to hear or read. It's just, we're just throwing money away. But my opinion.
I absolutely share that opinion. And I think Layla, you can definitely chime in on this, but Layla's talked quite a bit about that in campaign reform too, finance reform. And I think she feels similarly, geez, about that. And that the amount of money that's sunk in is just, it's atrocious when there are people starving and, but yeah, we're pro campaign finance reform on a pretty high level.
The
Layla,
lack of
yeah.
the lack of rules with campaigning just ices out working class people who want to run for office, who would be good in office, people we want in office. Because like either companies will put up an employee to run to watch out for the company, or it's some Republican that takes a bunch of money from an oil company, and no one can compete with that. And like it's running for office is so high risk, low reward. It's $25,000 a year. No regular person can just go,
Nobody's getting rich off of running for Iowa House.
No, not for state. Not for state. I have to work both jobs. I work a job. I still have to work that job. I go from a 0.8 to a 0.5 when we're in session. So when we're not in session, I was full-time before I ran for office, and I went down to a 0.8. So I had more constituent time. And then when we go, like Monday, we go down, then I go to a 0.5. And so, but I have to keep my 0.5 because I have to pay my bills. And so, $25,000 doesn't pay people's bills anymore these days. And so, yeah. And if you can't, not all people can work at this, and be in office. Not all companies allow people to do that or to flex. I was very fortunate that they allowed me to do that, but not everybody can. And so a lot of young people, and that's the frustration. I met with a couple of young candidates last night. What am I going to do? I can't live off of $25,000 a year, but yet it is a pretty full-time job. Even if you're not in session, you're expected to put a lot of hours into that job. So we voted last year, the House, to raise the salary, but the Senate didn't even take it up and acknowledge it. So I was visiting with a senator last night. Senator Dotzler has been in this his 30th year, and we have raised the salary $2.50 in 30 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's from what he made when he started 30 years ago to what he makes now. It's $2.50. So in 30 years.
Oh, so very generous. That's
yeah.
Well, you guys are right on par with I don't know, the minimum wage.
Exactly.
I'd argue that it's worse than the minimum wage. The minimum wage was changed 18 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. 18 years. I remember it. I remember being excited that my pay was going to go up to $7.25 from whatever, $5.15. It was $5.15. Yeah. I remember that. It's disgusting that 18 years ago, Layla would have been 4.
Just a little girl.
Yeah, she was a baby, and and it hasn't changed, and that's super gross. It's gross for everyone, except for rich people.
Cost of living has almost tripled in some aspects.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Back then, you could still get an apartment for $400 or $500 a month,
which you can't anymore.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Talking to one of my constituents, she used to be a patient of mine, a low income, has housing here in Waterloo, and they are raising the rent in the affordable housing to $900 a month.
That's not affordable housing. What?
That's $900 a month.
Oh my gosh.
For one bedroom. It's a 1 bedroom. It's criminal.
Yeah.
And
we could
so,
talk a lot about that too, and like
yes,
rental restrictions and things. Um,
yes. So anyway,
I,
it's
yeah.
not good, not good.
Our next question is, do you have a favorite political podcast, TikToker, news channel, I guess, if you still trust news channels, which we don't very much anymore.
Not much either. You guys are my favorite people, and the Blue Dot people are my favorite people. And
Yay.
so I don't, and you know what? It has become so toxic
Mhm.
that if I'm going to sit down to engage in any of that, I'm looking for something that's on the positive side. And so, I mean, I like to watch the Iowa starting line, and I like to watch.
Yeah.
There's some folks out there that are doing good things, positive things. I really like to pay attention to that. I always pay attention to you guys, what you're doing. I love what Carol's doing with Blue Dot, local. But I don't, time wise. I don't like have a time where I sit down and pay attention to anything specific like that. Because if I have that kind of time, then I probably should be, calling back a constituent and helping with
Right.
something along that line. So, or calling staff to say, hey, what is going on with this, reimbursement rate for mental health? Because that's a real thing. That's going to be, it's next week thing that we're going to have to talk about. My friend Mary spoke to committee today. I think she spoke about mental health and the loss of her son to suicide, Saragate in Urbandale, Iowa. And the committee was there to hear her out. And I have listened to her speak many times, and God, we need to start listening. We need to start doing something about it. It's so frustrating. So yeah, I mean, I pay attention to what folks are doing, and trying to step up and encourage, but I don't fall into the whole of anything too much.
You
I try
don't
not.
doom
Try,
scroll on your phone for
yeah,
hours.
no, I try not to. If I am, I'm looking at dogs and gardening and
That's
babies.
great. My
Yeah,
favorite thing is
stuff that makes me happy.
I'm on TikTok all the time. It's ridiculous. It's for young people. I get that. I don't know. I have zero attention span because I have pretty bad ADHD. So that's part of it.
That's
But
perfect.
the best thing ever is when I'm on there and it's like awful video after awful video about all of the bad things that are happening in our country and other countries, and it's awful. And then I get a video of cats just
There
being
we go. See?
absolutely hilarious. And I'm like, I wish my entire feed were just cat videos.
Yep. Yep.
It never
Yep.
is, ever.
I know, mine either, but
We can keep
and you guys
hoping.
have a favorite that you like?
Oh gosh. Um, Layla probably has lots of opinions on this. I kind of follow the like we also follow Iowa starting line because duh. And then on like I don't know, on TikTok I follow quite a few people, but I listen to Aaron Parnas a lot. I know he's pretty controversial. People get really mad at him because he's reciting headlines. I'm fine with it because that's honestly all I want. If I want more than the headline, then I go look for more
Yeah.
information.
Yep.
So it saves me time from wasting reading about stuff I don't care about.
Yep.
Layla, what do
Fair.
you got?
I like the I've Had It podcast.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Release an episode every Tuesday and Thursday. It is these two ladies who just absolutely go ham.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
they're amazing. I love them. They don't give a shit. They do not care. They did an interview with Cory Booker and they just called him out on every like questionable thing. And they were like, well, we like where your head's at, but also you did this, and that's kind of like they are fearless. And I
They got
appreciate
him.
that.
They got him to call $800,000 a minuscule amount of money.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I only
A lot of
took
them.
$800,000. That's a minuscule amount. It's a lifetime amount.
As I was going to say, who are you talking to? Yeah.
Lifetime amount that's probably what I'll make in this lifetime. Are you serious right now? Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really
Yeah.
good. I like them. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you ever have time, they're a good one to watch. Um,
Check them out. Liz for Iowa does a good job.
oh yeah, we follow Liz. We love Liz.
Liz does a good job. Yeah. I
So
enjoy her. She's a very smart young woman.
she is, and I can't wait until she runs for office because she absolutely will someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as
Cannot
she
wait.
can stop arguing as soon as she can argue without crying, she's gonna
Out
run
of
for office.
frustration. Yep.
It's okay. It's okay. You can cry. Sometimes, depending on the topic, I've had to pause. So if you ever see me in debate, and it's something that I'm very, very passionate about, you will see me pause. And the pause is exactly that. Um, because, for whatever reason, we get mad as ladies, as women get mad, and then we fight off tears, and it's so frustrating. So if you ever see me pause during a talk, that is exactly what's happening is I am just refocusing my brain to stay so that I don't do that. But
At least we
but
just cry
you know
instead of
what?
punching TVs.
It's a passion, and so I think it's not I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a negative thing.
No.
It's just, it definitely is a passion. And so, but I also cuss on the floor. And so,
Sometimes
and
it's
so
warranted.
yeah, sometimes it is. Representative Winchita last year said, I was this close to calling you out of order. And I said, well, you know what? I didn't say the word that I wanted to say. So he goes, oh, no more, no more, no more. And I said, okay. So,
You're like,
because
that's what I got.
sometimes
Back in your corner.
they just don't
I do
listen,
think I do think it's silly that they are so like uptight on what language you use, but
Yeah.
they'll use slurs and
Yeah.
Yes.
other
Yeah.
things
Yes.
as if not as if like they aren't adults, as if you don't
Yeah.
have to be an adult to do the job.
Yeah. 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 Just sometimes I'm like,
Always a
oh
good
my
for
gosh.
thee. Good
Yeah.
for thee, but not for me.
Oh yeah. We change the rules as the year goes. You'll watch that happen.
Yeah.
If you watch a session in action, you'll see the rules change. It's like, whoa, okay,
Oh
new
yeah.
rule, like, because
Yeah.
it didn't fit what they wanted. So we got new rules today.
Yeah. And that honestly, even just following like some reps, I won't name names. I don't want to get you in trouble. Um, there are some reps who started out last year before session being very like, let's go do a good job for Iowa, and I care about my people and my constituents. And now they're posting racist memes and slurs and talking about doing horrible things to immigrants. Like how did we get from there to here, in a year? And
Yeah.
it's concerning at best, but also not super surprising
Yeah. I
with
had a
some.
gentleman today ask a question to my colleague, said, how can we get your party to come more center and less toxic? And yeah. And so I think, I think people are, they don't want to hear this toxic conversation that we have, unfortunately, leaders above us, way above us, have endorsed this negativity.
Yeah.
And I really feel we have seen some regression
Oh,
of
yeah.
where we were. And we weren't perfect. Let's be bluntly honest, but we were moving in the right direction, and we were trying to fix and improve ourselves and help other and bring others with us, right?
Right.
And now we've regressed back to not sure what year, right? And
Yeah.
we're endorsing this negative hatred,
Yeah.
and people say things to you or to you that you know you would never have said that before.
Right.
Like, where did that come from? That is not how we treat each other, whether we agree or disagree. We don't we treat each other with respect, and we
Yeah.
always were able to do that, and we don't do that so well anymore. I mean,
No.
we have a we have some growth area
We have so
to
many
work on.
problems. So what are some ways that you are active in your community?
Oh, I serve on multiple boards. My Probably my favorite board right now is the Northeast Iowa Food Bank Board, and I think it's just because I've done some legislation specifically that has helped that group. But a few summers ago, I actually took my summer and I visited with all of the nonprofits. I had an intern. She was fantastic, and her mom actually happens to run Riverview, and we spent and traveled. I mean, just within the Cedar Valley, all visited with all the nonprofits to see what they do and how they impact our lives. We did a women's group build, not during the build time because I was in session. So we kind of so I took all the women leaders, because 98% of the nonprofits directors are led by women. So we did a women's build over in the north side of town, and I spend a lot of time with our youth. So we have a youth city council, which we have gotten legislation passed, working with them on the floor, and we got legislation passed with them and mentoring with them. And then I love to mentor with just young people. I had time last night and this morning, both with young people, just working with them and really encouraging them to get involved. Not everybody wants to run for office. I get that, but there's involvement that they can do. I spend always 2 or 3 times a year with the IJAG group at East High School. Fantastic program, fantastic program. And talk to them about being leaders in their community and reminding them that, you know, being a leader isn't the person who's in charge and like directing everybody around. It's the person who's doing positive things in the community. Your peers see that and they want to do positive things in the community, right? It's not that you have to be like this in charge person. It's being leading by positive examples within our community and getting involved and engaged in our community. So really, working on that. So and then I do a lot with persons with physical and mental disabilities. It's my job, but it's also my one of my passions. So I do it at work, but I also do it other times and spend a lot of time with folks as they are trying to. I have a patient who was incarcerated for a long time, and he needed help. And we worked with two different programs in the Cedar Valley and helped him get back in his home. He's living independently. He's doing fantastic. And so just watching the growth of people, neighbors, friends in the community. So I think that is really the key. If you're running for office, you need to be available, you need to be visible, and you need to be interacting, and participating in the fundraisers for the nonprofits and endorsing those, and at the rallies and at the in festivals and at the neighborhood gatherings, so that people can see you, hear you, so you can listen to them. And stay and be engaged in what's really happening. Down in Des Moines, sometimes we're looking at legislation that makes absolutely no sense in real life, right? This makes no sense for any Iowan. This isn't helping anybody. Where did this come from? Well, there's a book called Alec, but um, but there are places where it comes from. But being engaged, and we know we have colleagues who don't put themselves into the community eye, and I just feel like it's really important that we are. And so we participate, and sometimes my husband comes with me, sometimes he doesn't, but he does a lot of stuff in the background too to help me prepare for other things, and he's a researcher, so he does that. So I really want to stay involved and engaged. And if someone asks me to come talk, I'll come talk, or if they want to meet for dinner. I had a young lady reach out and we visited on the phone Monday night for 45 minutes. She wants to get engaged and involved in the community. And so we talked about that. And I told that group this morning, reach out to me, to any of us. It is part of our job to be available to you, to listen, to answer questions. And I think if you're running for office, that's part of the job. You've got to be engaged with people. If you aren't, then reevaluate why you're doing this job.
100%. We
Yeah.
actually have that as one of our requirements for any sort of endorsement at all, that we want to know how you're active in your community, because we strongly feel that if you're not active in your community, you have no business running for office. And that's just kind
That's
of
why I tell people, it's full time when you're down at the state house, clearly, but it's full time when you come home if you do it right. If you're doing what your community needs, you should be doing that. That's why I went to that 0.8. So I work a Monday, Tuesday, and a Friday, Saturday. So Wednesday, Thursdays, I can, Powers will say, "What's on the agenda today?" And I had a list today of where I went, and tomorrow I start at 10 a.m. with that list again, and end with Layla at our fundraiser.
Yeah.
So, but in helping other folks get involved and engaged too.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing it right, I love to do, and I won't do anything if I know I can't do it 100%, then I don't want to do it. I don't believe in doing stuff half-assed. So
This is the most important question. It is a bit controversial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cats or dogs, and why?
Dogs, but it's only because I'm allergic to cats. So, but I have three, and we've rescued a few along the road, one at Pride this year. So I was at Pride Fest for all of 5 minutes. And I then carried this little rescuer around with me the rest of the day. And he now lives with us. So I have, big heart for that, or a sucker on my forehead somewhere. I'm not sure where it's at, but love kitties too, but I just can't because I'm allergic to them. My son has two cats, three dogs. And when I go visit him, I double up the allergy medicine so that I can pet them on their head. And then I gotta go wash my hands real quick so I don't start, wheezing. But
Oh, you're super allergic.
Yeah.
Wow. My
Yeah.
son, my 14-year-old son, is very, like, he's allergic to cats also. We had to go get allergy testing and do the whole thing. And it came back the kid's literally allergic to almost everything. He's allergic to mold, shell bugs, all kinds of stuff. But he, at the time, he had a cat and he was also allergic to cats. And he was like, how do we do this? And we were like, well, lots of Allegra, I guess. And that's kind
Yep.
of how that worked out. But yeah, but he gets hives.
Oh,
Yeah, so
I
he
get
gets
real
really, yeah.
congested, just real congested and wheezy. Yeah.
Oh, that
And
stinks.
itchy. And itchy.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Well, I think your answer's fair then. Layla, you can keep going.
Okay. What are your top priorities in the legislature this next upcoming legislative session? Not healthcare, water quality, or education. Outside.
Okay. Outside of that. So I am working with a couple of things. I'm working with a group on puppy mills. They reached out. We've dabbled in that. Senator, our Representative Jacoby always kind of pushes some legislation that way, but her and I have been reaching out to folks on the other side of the aisle to see if we can come to some sort of agreement because we know that this is a huge issue. And so that's one thing that I'm going to be working with that group and getting them, really introducing them to my colleagues on the other side and trying to, work legislation and come to some sort of agreement that everybody can live with. Um, with that, not just puppy mills, but the abuse of our newest Milo was one that was found in a trailer in Evansdale, neglected and abused. The trailer was full of dead and alive animals as a whole. So when they reached out to talk about puppy mills, I said, let's do that. And then let's also talk about the abuse of animals in Iowa. So that's one thing that, we're going to revisit. This is kind of healthcare, but the Medicaid reimbursement rates. So that's that. I'm kind of taking a different kind of role this year and really having more time so that I can help folks navigate with that because I think that's going to be a huge issue. I'm working with local folks again on the levy on the property tax. We passed a property tax bill. It'll be 3 years now. This will be the third year. That well, we thought inadvertently, maybe on purpose. I'm not going to say either way, but what it did is it removed all voted on levies. So if a city like Waterloo, but many other cities too, had a voted on levy where people went to the polls, they voted, yes, we support this levy. Yes, that means we support our library and or museum or municipal band or veterans monument or whatever it is. It's kind of all falls into those categories. Um, for that money to go directly to keep that center or library or museum alive. We took the state legislature in that property tax bill took that away. So what that did is it threw all that money into the general budget, which sounds like, well, that's okay because then the city can, just differentiate what that money is. But that's not how a city budget works. City budget goes, they have a pool of money, um, and it gets divided out where it needs to go. So you're actually pitting this levy money against public safety money, which at the end of the day, a police and fire are probably going to win over a museum. Some cities are working with the libraries and museums. We did last year. Our new mayor states that he's going to, take a look at that. But really, what needs to happen because the state overreached into doing two things. They overreached into local control and they overreached and took actual people's vote away.
Ugh.
So that's kind of for me, that's the biggest issue. Like people voted for this and you took their votes away. Like that like somewhere should be wrong. right? That shouldn't be allowed. So we took people's vote away and then we overreached into local control. So last year, we worked with a local group here, and I've worked with them all summer long, and we're going to go back again. We're trying to get them to correct that piece. Property tax, we know, is going to be probably one of our number one or number two issues this year, because everybody wants lower property tax. But we need to allow the voted on levies so that we can protect our libraries, museum, municipal lands, veterans issues across the state of Iowa. And if the city voted on it and the people want it, they should get it because they voted for that. So anyway, that's another thing that I'm working on. And then what else do we have under my belt right now that locally that's not healthcare, so I can't do healthcare and mental health and our cancer rate being number one and number two. Um, and so that we need to make sure we get to our HPV vaccination. We'll just put a little plug in there for
You
people.
really are a politician. Did you see how she did that?
Just leave that right in there.
I love it.
Um, So, and then, I'm on public safety too, though this year too. I was on that at the beginning of my time down there, and I've been on that now again. So I will probably arrange a ride with Mayho or one of our police officers to look at legislation that we need to explore for our police officers, that makes their world a better, easier to maneuver around. We do legislation down there that they say back to blue that sometimes actually hurts the blue. So what I like to do, because I'm not a police officer, I like to ride with them and get their input and then go down and talk about really what they really do need us to do or not do. And so since I'm on that committee again this year, I'll do that. And then I'm on a new committee too that is higher education. So I'm spending a lot of time with our higher education presidents and students talking about what that committee should or shouldn't do. And I think there's some overreach in that committee as well. And so one of my big things being down at the state house is making sure that I am communicating all that back to Iowans, right? And then that's like to you guys and to the doing the videos and but getting that information out there so people understand the overreach and what that legislation actually means in real life, what that will do to you. So anyway, those are probably my top ones right now, if excluding what you asked me to exclude.
They're everybody's top priorities.
Yeah,
Well, they
sure.
are. Yeah, as they should be
Yes,
to
absolutely.
the budget, when the budget looks at things, our money goes to education and to healthcare. I mean, that's our biggest pockets, but um but there's a lot of other things that people are concerned about, right? Affordable housing needs to be addressed still. Like I was just saying, 900 for, low income housing, $900 a month. That
Insane.
doesn't sound like low income housing to me. So, I mean, there's things and there's jobs and recruiting people to come to Iowa, right? Making Iowa a friendly place again. So there's other important things and keeping young people in Iowa. You guys are fleeing to get out. And so trying to get people
Valid.
back to Iowa. Iowa's a low wage state
Mhm.
across the board,
Yeah,
right?
surrounded by people who are raising their wages.
Yes. I mean, there's lots of issues that we need to talk about. One of the things that legislators need to do better is to shut up and listen. The average Iowan, it depends what's happening in their household, but it's they go into work, having a job that pays so they can take care of their family, having health care so they can take care of their family, being able to pay their bills on time, making sure that they can go to the grocery store and buy the things that they need or have food available in other places if they can't afford that. I mean, so there's a lot going on, and that sometimes we get lost in this whole cycle of stuff down there, and Iowans don't give a shit about that. because they're trying to pay their utility bill.
Yeah.
They're trying, they're trying to find a job that has benefits. They're trying to afford to buy a home. I mean, so there's so much more to it than that. Or they have a parent in a nursing home who's not getting the care they need because we don't have any friggin' employees in the state of Iowa to
Yeah.
work, because they're short staffed. Well, that's a terrible excuse, but it is one of the excuses because we don't have people here to do the jobs so there's a lot of things, and sometimes that gets lost down there. And yeah. So,
How do you feel about this private school voucher program?
well, I'll tell you what, girlfriend, it's costing us a whole lot of money. So, and we said it was going to cost us a whole lot of money.
Mhm.
So when you started the program to take new students into the schools, and you gave money for low income students, um, you can budget that, right? You can budget that. But you were still scooping a little bit out of the public education money, right? Right. And there was a perception that public school money was only being used in public schools, and that's not true. It provides books, transportation, special education into our private schools. So it was also going into the private schools. Now that you've opened up this whole thing, and anybody and everybody can have $7,500 for their students to go to a private school, I want to see the exact budget of how you're going to pay for that, and how that is not going to hurt 98% of the students in the public schools. And no one has been able to show me those figures still.
I don't even think the auditor knows those figures.
No, no. And when you're giving the schools a 3%, so that's not that's not an increase, right? So we have underspent our schools, and so 3% is not even leveling them out to where they need to be, right? Um, so I have even visited with some of the candidates running for higher offices, like, how you're we're going to have to fix this. This can't continue, because we have enough money. We have enough Iowans money in surplus and Iowa tax relief for another couple years, and then we're gonna bust the bank.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, now you're pitting our children against each other.
Yeah.
And that on every level is not right. And so I, in the past, have always supported the tax credit for those who sent their children to private schools,
Yeah.
because that exists. It's
Yeah.
pretty good, really. But now, when you are giving every private school voucher student $7,500, that's not sustainable
Mhm.
anywhere. And you can't show it to me. It doesn't exist. And so it's gonna, and the only way you'll be able to do that is if you keep carving away at the public schools. So that is a problem, so at some point we're gonna have to fix it, and people aren't gonna like it. I mean,
No.
people are gonna get upset about it.
Yep.
But I can tell you, I hate the parent choice, because I am a mom who my son went to rural public school, urban public school out of state, online school, and private school. We took advantage of all five of those during my youngest's time in school. All five. And guess what? That was parent choice.
Right.
That was my choice to do each of those. And so I I paid when I needed to pay, and transferred when I needed to transfer, and did, because that was my choice to do.
Right.
And so I hate that argument. You've always had parent choice. You still have parent choice.
The
Because I
state just
utilize,
the state
yeah,
doesn't need to pay for your parent choice. The taxes
right,
do not need to pay for
right.
your parent choice.
Yeah. So
And
it's
I
like,
think, and with there, like you said, with the tax credits that existed before, also many, if not all, I think private schools had applications and a process for low income or people that didn't quite make enough. And would it work for everyone? I'm sure it wouldn't because there's things like income guidelines, but I don't think there's income guidelines on the school voucher program.
none. There's none. There's
Crazy.
Here's my other problem with it too, that so I have a lot of private schools in my district and they do a good job,
Yeah.
Don Bosco, St. Ed's, uh, Sacred Heart, or not, they don't do it anymore. But um, no, St. Ed's, I guess I said that, and Blessed Maria. And they do a good job, and not. But now what we also have, we've had some um, charter schools move in to Iowa. We've had physically, so brick and mortar and online, and there's no accountability there, that are
Right.
getting state money. And we know of groups of folks, parents pulling together, and one person doing the paperwork and pulling in voucher money, and there's no accountability of what that education looks like in that group, right? Um,
Right.
so there has to be some accountability, and there has to be some transparency, and there has to be some guidelines built into this. There's just none. There's
Right.
just none. We're just chucking out the money, and I'm like, did we realize how much this was going to cost us? Maybe we didn't. Maybe my Republican friends who really pushed that weren't doing the homework to really recognize, but we should have done the homework to recognize what that was going to cost the budget. We know our priorities in the state, and we're letting a lot of students down. So
Yeah.
we could go on and on about that, but
Oh, and on. And I have two autistic children. So I will talk about this for until it is gone. Until it is gone, I will rant about the private voucher program.
yeah.
Layla, you want to go?
Sure.
Okay. I heard the dogs start freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, they're arguing per usual. Um, if you could pass legislation on a petty grievance, what would it be and why? And here's my example. I support public transportation for all of the obvious reasons. I support all of the efforts toward supporting it. It's accessible, affordable, convenient, but also to reduce traffic and to get bad drivers off the road. So that's my example.
So now you want to know what I would do for public transportation?
No, if you could pass legislation based on one of your petty grievances, what would it
My
be?
my petty
Yeah.
grievances. Oh. Wow. So transportation is a good one, because actually even my young folks at the high schools here, that was one of the things that they were trying to talk about doing. Then they went towards mental health. But oh, my pet grievance. I have a few. But if I didn't have to deal with anybody, negotiate with anybody, and I didn't have to worry about the budget, I would actually have a sustainable mental health program for our children in the state of Iowa. I worked really hard as we looked at policy, but then I saw nothing happen. And we're still shipping our children out of state. They're still living in ERs. They still aren't getting adequate care. Suicide rates aren't going down. So if I could do anything that I wanted, I would actually make sure that the policy is paid for, it's funded, it's staffed, and it actually had positive incomes for the children across Iowa, because I feel like that is still a huge gap where people are falling in the cracks and families are lost. parents are frustrated, children are frustrated, and we are not doing our due diligence for our children, and taking care of them. I always have, and I've said on the floor, it appears that we are trying to do legislation on the backs of the people that need us the most. Um, and so our children with mental health, our adults with disabilities, and our children with disabilities, our seniors in nursing homes, we aren't taking care of the people that need us to, that really are counting on us to take care of them. And so, yeah, if I didn't have to worry about anybody else's opinion, I would just go and do it.
That's
And it'd be,
probably like the nicest petty grievance ever.
well, it's just because I've watched, we've done this, and done this,
Yep.
but we've talked it, but we don't do it.
Right.
So, talk the talk, but we don't do shit. And so that's my most frustrating thing, is that you hear people talk the talk, but I don't see the outcomes. So if I didn't have to deal with that, if I could just talk and do, that's what I would do.
Nice.
So,
Where are we at? Sorry, I lost my spot. It's me this time.
It is. It's usually me. Oh, wait. Yeah, I skipped a whole bunch. You found it, Layla.
What would you consider valid experience for someone running for Iowa House?
okay, so here's what I tell everybody. You don't need any experience at all, right? I mean, here's the deal. I mean, if you give a darn about your community, you are qualified to run. If you are willing to put in the hard work, the time, and you care, then you should get involved, and you want to do it, then you should get involved. People have this misconception like they're lawyers, or they're not. They're farmers, they're forklift drivers, they're retired people, they're some of them are unemployed. I was a healthcare worker, well, still am a healthcare worker, but if you have a passion to help, to serve, right, to help, to do something positive in your community, then you should feel comfortable and endorsed to do so. And we should not be discouraging people from getting involved. One of the things that I really want to work on is building young folks up, and clearing the space for them to come in and step in and lead, because I think they are there. You're there. There's others that want to do it, that have a lot to offer. And it's time for folks to serve and then step aside so that others can come and serve. And we should endorse and lift them up to do so. It is across the board one of the things that we don't do well. I call it build the bench, whatever you want to call it, but we should be out there, and we should be building folks up, and we should have a timeline and I have a timeline. I'm not going to share it with you tonight, but I have a timeline, and I have a goal, and I want to bring people up with me, and then step aside so they can keep growing. So that's, yeah. So yeah, if you meet the age requirement, you should run if that's what you wanted to do and get involved. And I will tell people, it's hard. You need to get involved in your community. So if you're someone who's we have a gentleman that we visited with the other day. He really wants to, so he started to get involved in different community things in his community. Joined some different boards, right? Started coming to some different meetings, getting some just exposure to, hi, I'm so and so, and getting out there so he gets some name recognition. That is the hardest thing to get, right? Name recognition. So you have to get yourself out there. You have to put yourself out there, and So if you're willing to do that, then you're qualified to go.
Young people
I
watching this, run for office.
Young
run
people
for
watching.
office.
Yeah. And there's so many offices. So this isn't the only office.
No.
School board, hello, school board, city council, county supervisors. Within the city, they have several boards that you can serve on, right? So getting involved and that's how I talk to the IJAG folks too. Get involved, volunteer at the festivals, volunteer my Waterloo days, volunteer for some things, get out there and do some things and build that name recognition. And then yeah, run for school board. My gosh, I think it's pulling teeth to get people to run for that, and they don't understand how important that is. That is so important.
Mhm.
And our city council folks, that's important. That's a thankless job. It is all pretty thankless, but so don't do it because you think that you're going to get a lot of recognition, because you're not. but um, but yeah, but do it because your heart is telling you that you want to serve. Yeah.
What is your wokest take?
Hmm. My Roca's cake. I don't know.
Layla, do you have an example?
My wokest take is that people deserve to be lazy. I don't think someone who is deemed lazy doesn't deserve housing, food, health insurance, or healthcare, I guess. I don't think lazy is I don't think those two things weigh on each other. I think everybody should have those things.
Well, I think everybody should have health care. Um, um, and I think that lazy is just used. I think people who don't understand real life use that word to label people. Um, and and I believe that the system is somewhat broken. And so I believe that we disable people instead of empower them. And I think that we do that. I mean, I know we do that with persons that have disabilities. We definitely disable them more than empower them, because we don't allow them to grow. Because if they were to grow, we take away services that they need to grow, and healthcare and other things. Um, and I believe that if you empowered a single mom with two kids, she would run with it and feel empowered. But instead, we label her and we minimize her, and so we disable her from growth. So I believe that it's a systematic issue, a systematic problem that we don't do well. I believe that if we started empowering people and actually took the system so that it worked for people and with them, right? With them, and helped them set goals and achieve those, instead of keeping our foot on top and not allowing growth, we'd be in a whole different place. So, does that kind of answer
Yeah,
it?
that's a good answer.
It is a good answer.
Ma, do you want to pick up the rest? There's only
Um, oh, sure. Are we on rapid fire?
Yeah, I think so. 17.
Okay. We have two rapid fire questions, so
Quick.
that are not rapid fire at all. Are you pro-choice?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think we need to, I mean, women deserve to have their rights. I mean,
Right. It
yeah.
it should be, what do they
Whoa,
call that? Oh, common sense.
this
I
is
think.
too radical.
Oh,
Gonna come
Right?
after us.
right.
Yeah.
And do you support trans rights?
Yeah. They're people rights.
Perfect.
I support
People
people's
rights.
rights.
Amazing.
People,
Isn't it stupid that we have to ask those questions?
that's what I was like, why are we segregating, adding more segregation to people? We are
Yes.
all, and So why am I so like, do you walk around and really like, I wonder if they are, you know, Indian, black, gay, trans, women, men? Do they work? Do they not work? Do they have kids? Do they not have kids? Do they have an education? Do they not? I mean,
It
like,
does seem like,
why are we segregating everybody in these
yeah,
little pods? And why are we so worked up with that? I
the
just
damn
don't
labels,
understand. Yeah, we've labeled everybody,
everything.
everybody.
I
And I
know it.
don't understand it.
Neither do we.
Waste so much time. However, I think what we need to do is we need to help people express themselves so that they so I've had a couple years ago, I really wanted to take a group and say, let's work on lobbying. Like, how do we lobby these topics, right? Like, what can we do to actually get our point across? Because we're frustrated, we're mad, we're scared, and all those valid feelings are valid. But how do we get this across the line so that people are hearing you as a person and understanding that you are no different than anyone else, no matter your sex, color, religion, education, hair color, nothing.
Right.
How do we get that across the line? And how do we talk to other legislators who don't understand? Because I always want to give them the benefit that, do you just not understand?
Right.
Or
Right.
are you just being mean? You need to tell me because I don't know. But how do we get them to understand that you are overstepping into my world and I don't need your help?
Right.
And I'm not overstepping in your world. If you don't like me, that's fine. We can move on,
Yeah.
right? You
Yep.
don't have to legislate against me because you are intimidated by me, scared of me, or that you are just not educated enough to understand who I am. It's
Right.
okay. But so I don't know. We do need to get, because I have watched my colleagues. So, yelling at them doesn't really seem to help, although it feels good sometimes.
Damn it.
Um, but how do we help others educate
Yeah.
and lobby to get folks to understand that it's okay if you want to believe that, but don't overstep into my world because I
Right.
maybe don't agree with what you're doing. Okay. And I don't know how we get there.
Right.
I,
Well,
I,
I
I
think
yeah.
I had a conversation with somebody I worked with once, and we were talking about um how they were not comfortable with the gay agenda being shoved in their faces.
Right.
And I, of course, so my question was, how do you feel like it's being shoved in your face?
Mhm.
And he said, well, I don't like driving by the park and seeing a bunch of gay people with their flags flying. Like, why do they have to make a big show of it? Like, if they're gay, it's fine. Why can't they do it at their houses? Why does there have to be like a big display? And I said, when you have your kid's birthday party, do you go get balloons for their birthday party and take them to the park and, like decorate and do the things? And he was like, well, yeah. And I was like, it's the same thing. You're celebrating your kid's celebrating their birthday. These people are celebrating the rights that they have that they didn't have for a
Yeah.
very long time. And it was
Yeah.
a really interesting conversation because you kind of, and obviously, like having those conversations doesn't work with everybody, right? Like it's
No,
only going to work.
unfortunately.
Yeah, it's only going to work with people who are receptive to actually learning about other people. And
Mhm.
he was very much like, well, I guess that actually kind of makes sense. Like I still don't love it. And I was like, right, but you could just drive past and go home, right?
You
And
don't
it
have to
would affect
stop.
you none at all.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you're right. Like, that's true. I could just ignore it and
Yeah.
go on with my day. And I was like, right. But if you don't ignore it and go on with your day, then you're ruining somebody else's party, like somebody else's
Right.
birthday,
Right.
right? and it
Right.
like connected, and I was really excited about that. And I wish there was an easy way to like get more
Yep.
people to kind of understand that standpoint of it. I don't know.
I
Um,
don't either.
it's another thing that we could talk about forever and ever. We say that a lot on here,
Forever.
actually.
Yeah,
Okay,
forever.
so that's it for rapid fire. And then let's see. Why should your constituents vote for you to continue representing them?
Oh, well, I think what I tell folks is that I will always listen to you. I will always speak on behalf of you on the floor if you want me to. So I get letters from people and I read those. Um, I will always welcome you to the Capitol. I will always respond to your calls. I will always meet with you at home in person if that's what you want to do. In fact, I have to call a gentleman tonight who has a question, um, and so I think that if you're looking for someone that's representing you, that will listen, that will speak on your behalf, will welcome you to the Capitol, and let you sit in your seat, right? Like I always say, come into the chamber and come hang out. It's the Iowans bought these seats. They're not mine, right? Then I am that person that will do that. And I will have hard conversations when we need to have hard conversations. I will negotiate when we can, right? And find positive outcomes. I will continue to try to help move our needle forward, and I will not buy into the negative rhetoric or the toxic rhetoric. That's not who I am, and so I won't. I won't do that. And I will always be that calm voice that moves us forward, and not be someone that will pull us back, because I just think we've had enough of that.
Mhm.
And I am always looking to make sure that we bring people with us and not leave people behind us, because I don't think that's productive either. So,
Awesome. Okay,
yeah,
and then do you have a big ask? Do you need, which this is kind of early for you since you have to go through session, but
yeah.
volunteers and donations and stuff like that. Do you have a website or social medias, any of that
We
stuff?
have we have yeah, follow us for sure on Facebook and Instagram, and watch for the videos. So Nora, my new clerk, her and I will start putting videos out yet next week, just
Yay.
to let people know what's going on down here at the Capitol. So please follow. Please feel free, to call or text me anytime. And get involved. I would say get involved. And if you have, not everybody can come down to Des Moines, but if you ever have the opportunity to come, please come and let me know. And so that I can make sure that you have a positive, positive interaction down at the Capitol. I prefer people to call and text me. We get 800-ish emails a day. So Nora and I will be, we sift through those. We get a lot of junk mail. We get a lot of, negativity, but you can always shoot me an email. But if you are coming, call me or text me and say, I'm coming, and so I know that you're there. But just get involved and try to, keep yourself in a positive place, because I know um, when there's sometimes there's going to be legislation that's hurtful, and I want people to try to keep themselves in a positive place. And if it feels not positive for you, to reach out to one of us, all of us, so that we can help you get through that, because sometimes it's not easy, and sometimes the conversations are not welcoming. And I don't know if we'll have those this year, um, but we might. So if you feel that, make sure that you're reaching out to somebody, so that we can make sure that we can help you guide you through that time period. So, and if we're having that, I will be on Facebook with with a video, warning you that to
Yep.
prepare yourselves, because sometimes it is. I tell people all the time, sometimes I walk to my car laughing, sometimes I walk to my car cussing, and sometimes I walk to my car cussing or crying. And sometimes I do all three, depending on, how far I have to walk. So it is, it's a very emotional like, I don't ever come home physically tired, but mentally,
Yeah.
right? So my Sundays, a lot of times on Sundays, I'm just like trying to recharge. But what recharges in me the most are my constituents. And so reaching out with just a text or reaching out, coming down, or whatever, that's what recharges me. And I need that. So like, don't feel like that's not like, you don't want to, bother me. That's actually how I recharge. So I need that from folks to keep going, to remind me some days, like, why am I hitting my head on this marble wall again today? So sometimes I need people to go, you're doing that because of me. I'm like, oh, thanks. Okay, we'll keep hitting it then, see if we can get through. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to have you
Nice.
hold for just a minute, but we want to thank you for coming and getting on this and talking to us and telling us all the things. Layla, you got anything else?
I don't think so.
All right,
I
perfect.
think you should continue to elect Timi.
We are
For a
Timi's
little while.
fans for a little while. As long as Timi wants to be elected, we support her being elected.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Timi.
Gonna make you wonder why you even try. Gonna take you down and laugh with you.